The rain tapped softly against the window pane, a steady rhythm that seemed almost mocking inside the small. Emma Thompson sat in silence, her hands wrapped tightly around a cup of lukewarm coffee. Prosthetic legs rested under the table, mechanical reminders of a past she couldn't escape. She had lost so much: her mobility, her independence, her once bright smile. Now even hope felt like a fragile illusion. Across the room, the host of the blind date chatted lightly, unaware of the storm behind Emma's eyes. She forced herself to smile politely, nodding at empty words, wishing she could disappear. The world felt distant, muffled, like she was observing it through a thick fog of grief. Emma had spent months rebuilding her life after the accident. Physical therapy was relentless, but even that could not repair the invisible fractures in her spirit. She avoided social gatherings, laughter, and most of all, love. A blind date had seemed like a cruel joke, or perhaps the last desperate attempt to remind herself she was still alive. The bell above the door jingled, and the world shifted. A man stepped inside, dripping rainwater from his jacket, boots muddy from the wet pavement. His hands were rough, his clothes smudged with grease. A mechanic by trade, he looked like he had wrestled engines for breakfast. But when his eyes found Emma, the room seemed to hold its breath. He walked toward her table with a quiet confidence, carrying nothing but a smile and an air of genuine curiosity. "Are you Emma?" he asked softly. She nodded, unsure if she wanted to speak. The words caught in her throat. A mix of skepticism and curiosity. There was something about him, something unpretentious, something real that didn't feel like pity. "Hi," he said simply. "I'm Lucas. I guess I'm your date." His tone was casual, yet there was warmth, a sense of safety embedded in the sound. Emma's eyes flickered, almost in disbelief. She had prepared for awkward small talk, polite questions, and silent judgment. Not this. Not a man who looked at her as though she were whole, as though her past misfortune did not define her. As they talked, rain falling softly outside, Emma noticed how effortlessly Lucas listened. He didn't flinch at her prosthetics. He didn't ask the questions she had come to dread about her accident, her limitations, or how broken she might feel. Instead, he asked about her passions, the books she loved, the music that moved her. Every word built a bridge where once there had been a chasm of fear. Time passed unnoticed. Laughter, light and genuine, bubbled between them. Emma felt something she hadn't felt in years, a spark of life, a flicker of joy that threatened to melt the walls she had built around her heart. But the world outside was harsh. Shadows of doubt crept in. Does he see me as broken? Will he walk away when the reality of my life hits him? The questions pounded like a second rainstorm, steady and relentless. Lucas, sensing her hesitation, reached across the table, brushing a wet strand of hair from her face. "You don't have to explain everything," he said. "I just want to know you." That simple honesty, untainted by judgment, shattered the armor Emma had worn for so long. Tears threatened, but she blinked them back. For the first time in years, she felt seen, not as a tragedy, not as an accident, but as herself. They left the together, the rain now a gentle drizzle, the world washed clean. Lucas helped Emma navigate the puddled streets, steadying her with patience and care. She realized that trust, like healing, comes slowly, but sometimes it arrives unbidden, in the form of someone willing to meet you where you are. Weeks turned into months. Emma began to rebuild not just her body, but her spirit. Physical therapy continued, but now it was accompanied by laughter, shared stories, and the steady support of someone who refused to define her by what she had lost. Lucas never treated her as less, never hesitated, never questioned her strength. In his presence, she found courage, not the superficial bravery of smiling for strangers, but the deep, unshakable confidence that comes when you know you are valued, wholly and without condition. Emma learned something vital that day. Hope is not a fleeting emotion. It is a choice, a series of small moments, a decision to see possibility where there once was only despair. And sometimes hope arrives wrapped in a raincoat, muddy boots, and a smile that refuses to give up on you. True resilience is not measured by what you survive, but by what or who you allow to restore your spirit. Even the smallest act of understanding can ignite a light powerful enough to shatter years of darkness. If this story inspired you, share where you're watching from and your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to Cinematic Whispers for more emotional, cinematic stories that remind us of the human heart's remarkable capacity for hope and renewal.